Alright guys, so here's what we got going on. It's been about 6-7 days since we planted over here, and we did lose, looks like possibly lost one of our little lettuce seedlings. Didn't make it for whatever reason, dried out, but the rest of them seem to be doing pretty good. And our sunflowers really taking off. We can see the root system here. And it's just interesting how these plants, they come from the greenhouse, you know, the nurseries, and they're so you know, lengthy, and they're just like thin, and you can even now, I've had it on this new nutrients, and you can already see huge difference in growth, and they're getting nice and dark as compared to being this color. They're dark. For whatever reason, these are stunted and messed up, and figure something out there. And we still have a pest problem. I've been treating it daily, but it's still pretty tough. And you can see here, I set this one down here where there's underneath the shelf, and it's still doing just fine. But you can tell that this one's overrun with the bugs, unfortunately. I don't know if we can focus there, but so we're probably going to give it another wash down. But I sat it down here, and it's not really getting as much sun, but it seems to be doing just fine. It's kind of interesting. And then you can tell a huge difference with the plants that I started from seed. And you can just look at the stems; they're just a lot thicker. These leaves are just so much greener, and the reason is when I started these from seed, I always used the same bloom formula, and so they didn't really have a lot of nitrogen, so they grew pretty slow, and that slow growth, you know, makes them just a little bit more dense, I guess. So, and these are taking off still, even though I haven't done much to the nutrients on these. They are starting to green up pretty nice. Now, unfortunately, our tomato plant here has got some real bad curling on some of these. It's kind of wilting a little bit, so I'm not sure what we're doing there. To figure something out. And then our cucumber plant here is getting bigger every day, but that big cucumber, well, not big, but that cucumber that I had here, I had to pick it because it only got like this big before it started to over ripen. So I don't know, we got some more coming in there. We'll see what happens with those. With the you can see the difference in the new vegetation and the old vegetation with the new nutrients that I got in there. So I don't know, this bug problem is really frustrating, and it's hard to keep up with it, but we'll just keep spraying them down and hope we can make them last. Over here, these are looking pretty good. They're taking off, and then we've also got some peppers forming over there, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I can see a huge difference in our plants with this nutrient change. Some better than others, and for whatever reason, like I said, we got these. For the two in the middle seem to be doing fine, but then the two on the ends and the two on this end just have not really taken off. So, but you can see here, like you got this old growth here, and it's all light and yellowy. Then you got these new sprouts coming out, and they're dark green. So I think it's getting there. I think what we're going to do with these is we're going to take these little flowers, because these plants aren't a couple feet or a couple inches tall, and we're just going to pick these flowers off of here, so that way they can focus on growing and not trying to make fruit. And this is really what you should do with all of these. I'm kind of letting them go, do their own thing, but you should really probably prune your flowers and stuff off until they get a really good solid height on your plant, and that way you'll get a better harvest. But then also people like to top them so they kind of bush out. But we're just going to do this and see what it does here in a few weeks. Kind of prune these. And I'll go through anyway and find, you know, the leaves that are dead, and I'll kind of prune those off, or the leaves that are dying anyway, to kind of facilitate some new growth. And we got all kinds of different bugs. You can see here we got all kinds of issues. So I guess the real biggest obstacle here is the pesticide side of it. I just can't seem to get rid of these things. It's just a constant. So I guess that's just how it is. You just gotta keep battling. So this is what I was using originally, and it has such a low nitrogen number that it really shocked the plants. I mean, you can see these that I've got here, they have literally not grown at all. I mean, this is as tall as they were when I got them from the nursery. And they've sprouted some other, you know, some shoots, but they haven't grown at all height-wise. And you can see just the difference that it makes whenever you switch over to whenever I switch back to the high nitrogen nutrient that I have now. And they've all taken off, kind of. Some better than others, and this one I haven't changed much. I put a little bit in there, but I didn't completely change it like I did these. But you can still see the difference. So it's interesting. Then we got some other projects going here where we got some old seeds we're trying to sprout. Oh, we got some sprouting up. That's good. Oh yeah, looky there. So that ought to be interesting. I need to find a place to put all these plants. So like I said, our lettuce here is doing good. Working excellent, really floating nicely. Sometimes I'll come in here and just kind of move this around a little bit just to make sure we're not getting hung up. So, well, we finally caught our little porch bunny. So now we gotta come up with a temporary home. I think this might work. Put some shavings in here and cover it with this chicken wire. Might work. Alright, so here we are. I got some scrap pieces of wood. This cut out piece of chicken wire that I had sitting around. And all I got is chicken feed. It's not really ideal for rabbits, so I put some grass in there, some bedding, some water, and we'll see if see if it works out. So now we got to try to get the rabbit in there without letting it loose, because if we let it loose, then Boo's gonna eat it. Hello, bunny. Bunny. Alright, buddy. Let's see if we can get you out of here. Don't, Boo. Back up. Back up. Back up. Look at her. Trying to eat it. Go. Go, bunny. Go, bunny. Go. Go, bunny. Go. Alright. He's in there. Alright. You like that better, bunny? Alright, well, I'm worried about Boo's determination to get the bunny rabbit, so I put a couple buckets full of laundry detergent on there. So it ain't going nowhere now. And she ain't gonna get in there. So should be good now. You know, for a fat, domesticated cat, you still got a wild streak in you. Well, here, guys, is a good example of why you should definitely always check your nutrient levels. Because we've lost a couple plants. This one was in here. Just like that, and it just dried up. The rest of the plants, and just the fact that it's so small, much smaller than the other ones, the roots aren't reaching down into the water. So, and then the same thing happened to this little strawberry plant. So that's unfortunate. We've got our little peppers springing up here. One there, one there, so one there, see that, springing up everywhere. So the only concern right now really is just trying to keep this aphid problem under control, because they're everywhere. So I'll just keep spraying, hoping that it, because that basically what happened is you just go, you let it go for 2 days, and then they just take back over. It's crazy. So, and we got our cucumber plant here's growing nicely right now. Got some cucumbers forming here and there. So, and our first tomatoes starting to form. That's nice. So, we'll just keep an eye on that stuff. Oh, we got a ladybug. Oh, lettuce is doing fine still today. I thought this was pretty interesting. This sunflower, it grew so fast that it got stuck in the rockwool cube on the end and didn't come out, and then it pretty much snapped itself in half. That's kind of funky. You can see it's got a big root growing at the bottom of it, so I'm just going to leave it. I don't know which side is which. We'll see what happens. And then our other sunflower is doing great. And our seeds, we got seeds sprouting up pretty good. Oh man, I got aphids crawling on me. We'll got some seeds sprouting up there. Not sure what they are, but they're sprouting. We'll get back on there. I don't know. Let's see what we got here. Nothing sprouting in here, but it's still got moisture in there, so that's good. It's a good sign. And this one, we got all kinds of stuff sprouting in here. Jesus. We're going to take some of this stuff out. So, we'll see what we got going on here. These are beans I'm going to try to do, but they're 3 years old, so I thought I'd plant a bunch of them. And in 2 days, they got roots sticking out the bottom. So, I don't know. We're going to have to figure something out here. Alright, so I took one of my containers that I hadn't turned into anything yet, and I put a bunch of holes in it and put our aluminum foil and net cups in here. And I'm going to use half strength General Hydroponics, which is half a teaspoon per gallon of the micro, the grow, and the bloom. And so yeah, then this is going to be a temporary place for me to put these seedlings that I got going on here. And these are going to be pretty easy because they just fit right down into the net cup like that. So that's going to be the easy part, is just to throw these down into the net cups. Like so. And then I'm going to try to put some of these in there too. So we're going to try that. That might be a little bit more tricky. Alright, so I ended up putting just the best seedlings that I had popped up in here. And so I've got about 4 or 5 left sitting over here that I'm going to put back in the container. Probably put a little bit more water in there, just wet it down a little better, and keep going with that. And then I figured, since I didn't put any of these in here, I'm going to go ahead and try my Polar Pop hydroponics again, because I put a pepper plant in one of these, and I end up having to transplanting it into one of these containers because I had an empty spot and it just made better sense. So I'm going to try it now with a green beans. So I'm going to try to take these 2 biggest ones here, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. So obviously the first order of business is to get them out of the package as best you can without damaging any roots, and I think I've done a pretty decent job of that. And then we gotta go over here to the water hose and try to get some of this dirt off here. And you just gotta be real gentle. And this is pretty easy because they're just so, they're still so young. So it's not like they're really dirt bound like normal plants would be. So there we go, we're going to take these chunks off here. So there's our 2 plants, and they weren't even tangled up or anything. They're still really young, so this is real easy. Whether or not it works or not, we'll see, but then we just take our rock wool cube, and I got old seed there. Bust it open like this, and then we just put it in there with our roots sticking down, wrap it back around, and then I've got this net cup here with the bottom kind of cut out of it. Makes it easier just to push the roots down because the rock wool cube is going to stop it from falling through. So there you have it. Got the roots sticking down through there, and we're just going to landed in our nutrients. I just put a little splash of my general hydroponics in these, so it's like a quarter teaspoon or something like that. Maybe not even that much of each. So we'll do it with this other one, and then we'll see what happens. So there you have it. We got our seedlings, we got our 2 bean plants, our green bean plants, and I'm going to go ahead and put these guys back into my container because I don't know where else to put them right now, but I'll have to come up with another container to put them in, or maybe a raised bed. But I wanted to grow some of them hydroponically and give that a go. So we're going to wet these back down a little bit, all of our containers with our seedlings, make sure they stay moist. We're going to put our little seedlings that we got here back and call it a day. Alright, so we're here the next day, and the good news is I was able to add some water to my container over here, and that pepper plant bounced right back. This one right here. Unfortunately, that's not going to bounce back. So you can see just about everything here is starting to fruit. This container over here, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to have much going on. And I did prune these a day or two ago, and they seem to be doing a lot better now. And then these, I need to switch out the nutrients. But you can tell the visible difference just there in the color and the foliage between the 2 nutrients, kind of. But also these haven't been flowering, so they've been really focusing on grow. And then I guess I just didn't have quite enough moisture in this container because I put some more water in it yesterday, and now I've got 3 times the sprouts in there. Let's see what we got anything going on here. Yeah, we got 1 sprout in here. A couple, maybe 2 or 3 little bitty sprouts. Not much going on there. And then these just continue to sprout up the beans. So we're going to have to get a container for them. And then our cucumber plant here just keeps growing. Now we're getting cucumbers everywhere. Hopefully that works out. My weird, just random lettuce plant. Everything over here is doing good. My sunflower. I mean, this thing is really taking off. So everything seems to be doing good. They haven't quite reached the point where they're sucking up water yet. We're still about level here, so they're not destroying the water. They're not eating it up big time yet. See, we got some roots there. So whenever they start really getting established, they'll start sucking that water, I'm sure. And our beans here and our polar pops are doing good. They're continuing to sprout. Everything down here is not getting as much sun, so it's not doing as well. But I'll figure something out here eventually. Maybe put some kind of table I can move right here. I don't know. And we just have to keep control of these freaking white flies and aphids everywhere. kind of a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. You can see how nice and green that container is too. It's got some really nice growth along with these. Fortunately, these haven't flowered yet, but when they do, they're really going to take off, I'd say. I have tons of peppers. Well, this one's got a pepper on it. So they are a little bit. So yeah, we got to figure out what to do with all that. Probably going to have to make a garden or for outside somewhere here, and possibly I don't know, possibly make a raised bed. After much discussion with my wife, we decided to let the rabbit go back under the deck. So that's going to make gardening that much more difficult. So we left the bunny bee. So you can see here we have a pretty epic failure here gardening wise. This is our garden. First thing is I don't think it's getting quite enough sun, especially for these pepper plants, because they have not grown at all, even with fertilizer. That's the first mistake. Second mistake is it is just always wet down here. It like never dries out down here. And I thought that would be a good thing, but I don't think it is. It's not good, because you can see it's pulling up down here. It's so wet, which is why we really need to move the chicken coop too from down here, because it's just wet all the time. But most of these tomato plants are doing pretty good. I mean, they're doing all right. But we lost quite a few of them to the frost too, so I don't know, guys. Our outside plants just aren't looking very good. I got to get in here and pull all the grass out again, dig out around everything. But it's so wet down here, you can't hardly do nothing. It never dries out. We might have to try to transplant these somewhere else or something. I don't know. I just don't know, because I mean they haven't grown at all height wise. They're still the same size they were when I transplanted them. So I don't know. We got a lot of work to do here and figure out a spot. Maybe make a raised, like I said, make a raised bed to put all my stuff in. I don't know what else to do. I got plenty of peppers though. If these tomatoes work out, I got plenty of peppers in hydroponics. So I don't really need the peppers in the ground. But it's just disappointing. So we're gonna come up with something. I got enough stuff to make another hydroponic raft system. So that would be one thing. And then I also probably have enough wood laying around to make some kind of raised bed that we can try and plant everything in somewhere up here, maybe by the greenhouse. But the thing is too, I have I have a lot of deer. Just a lot of critters running around out here. They're getting big. And we're counting down to our next litter, which is lockdown day. Should be in about 3 days. So we'll see what happens there. We'll go over here and make sure we don't have any more eggs. I think we already got the eggs today. Oh, we got one. One more egg. One of these days I'll get some hinges to put that on. Alright. Chickens! You need to see the water. This sand and water down here. So we're gonna have to move this chicken coop one of these days to somewhere up higher on the yard, because this is the lowest spot and it's just terrible spot to put it. The idea behind putting it here was just to be far away from the house as possible, just so you don't have to worry about, you know, the smell and everything else. But it just makes everything 10 times worse when it's all wet down here. The poor chickens are all wet all the time. It's just not good. I might put it over there maybe. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. Let's check on our other mama here. Yeah, she's still doing good. You can see it's all nasty flies and stuff messing around here because it's all wet and nasty. So I think that's going to be about it for this one. A couple days worth of hydroponic stuff for you. I'll let you know where I'm at. I got to figure out what to do with this. We might be trying to find a new home for the peppers if they can make it through it. And the tomato plants I'll probably just leave here. So I don't know. A lot to think about. Moving the coop, moving the garden, coming up with something. We'll come up with something. And I've got a compost pile in the back that's been composting for a couple months. Probably be ready to go if I want to do a raised bed. It's nice how the water pools up right where you gotta walk through too. Work on that. And it pulls up right here in front of my greenhouse, of course. It's just been raining like crazy too, non-stop. So that's where we're at. We got everything kind of fruiting, and we got some sprouts sprouting up. I got all kinds of stuff planted there from some old seeds that I got for free. There's pumpkins and cucumbers and squash and tomatoes, and I mean there's a little bit of everything in those seedlings. And I didn't really think they were going to sprout as good as they are, because they're 3 years old. That's why I got them for free, because they're old seedlings, but they're sprouting up good. And of course the beans are all sprouting up good. And I really just wanted to try a couple of those in hydroponics, and now I got to figure out where I'm going to direct sow the rest of them, because I got too many. So we'll see, but I think that's going to be about it for this video. I just want to give everybody an update on everything and let you know where I'm at on my hydroponics, and everything's going pretty good so far. So we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.